Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair. Basically, today we are going to talk about the Formula Award. Little bit more topics. Basically, this is basically 83rd number part. Basically, we have discussed lots of things: sales, education, how basically the things are getting work, each and everything. Basically, also. Now, basically, we are going to talk about one person. Basically, was discussing with me. Basically, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair. He told me that basically what is basically countries, basically what are the country basically, and how basically each and every countries basically interacts with each other, how basically the political people do the interaction, how basically each and every countries basically keeps their secrets, how the country gives the services basically. For example, then basically he basically that person basically, that is basically Sunil Nair. Basically he basically he had read this somewhere basically from basically one of the books. Basically he told that basically in this world basically each and every company, each and every countries basically give the services basically. So basically told what is services, same as basically the World Bank give the services. World Bank give the subscription basically. If any country basically wants the subscription, so that their building should be stand straight forward basically, that is it's not supposed to move left and right also. So that subsidy basically World Bank only can give. So World Bank only the can give basically. World Bank groups basically you can say. In this basically India also exists, so India is also basically into this. So like this basically this is one of the subscription basically which is provided by the World Bank. Like same way basically United States of America, what they do, United States of America basically creates the softwares basically in front of world basically. So they basically their services is what? Their services is to produce the softwares and produce the basically whatever the complicated software basically the world prepares. In that basically United States of America is the number one basically who prepares the software basically. So their services is what? Software. So in front of world basically United States of America survey, what they gives basically to the world, that is basically software. Like this basically each and every country basically in this world, they have their monopoly, they have their ethics, they have their controls. If you want to prepare any software and it should be run basically perfectly without any error, and it should keeps on running, then basically United States of America is the only option basically we can say. Then basically one person asked basically United States of America is producing the software, right? That basically we agree basically. Then but basically who is providing the power supply basically to that each and every software basically? For example, Microsoft software is there. So Microsoft software assume that each and every software basically entire Microsoft is created from 3000 cities. Assume that this number is just taken as a number. In real basically it might be very much too much number, but so Microsoft is created from the 3000 cities basically. So from 3000 cities basically you are taking the power supply data, and then basically you are providing to the Microsoft corporation. So that the basically for example the Microsoft Word is opening. When you are opening Microsoft Word and you have written some resume basically inside that, so basically the resume is getting display, right? Because why? Because the power supply which is getting passed to that whenever you are opening any word, any resume of, for example, my resume, Sunila Ramakrishnan resume, that is prepared in the word basically. So when you open the resume, that time basically it's getting display. Why? Because the power supply is getting passed of the word, Microsoft Word, and whatever things is written inside the Microsoft Word, that characters basically, that's for that basically power supply is getting passed. That's why the datas are getting displayed. That's why the Microsoft Word is getting loaded. Each and every things are getting loaded, and that also perfectly basically that you can say. So like this basically the that person basically told that means the power supply, without power supply the software can't load basically. Yeah, basically that person told yes, you are correct. So here basically the things totally changed basically. That means the Microsoft is also dependent of the power supply which is getting passed by the set of countries basically you can say. Yeah. Then basically the person told that which is that country basically. Then one person told that there is one nuclear company in India basically, nuclear company basically in India. They basically gives the power supply to the Microsoft. On the base of that power supply, the all software of the Microsoft is getting load. So that person was shocked with it. How basically that is possible? Basically, the Microsoft, that means United States of America. How United States of America is dependent on the India basically? How it's possible basically? Because India is not that much powerful in the software company. For in software basically. Then that person told that India is powerful in the case of power supply basically, you can say. So the power supply which Microsoft Corporation is getting, that is on the base of that nuclear company basically. So this also basically that person told that he basically read it in somewhere books basically. um, so like this basically, United States of America says that we are basically powerful in the software basically. And then that country, another country, that is India, told that we are basically powerful in the power supply chain basically. Whatever the software you are using for that basically, without power supply, how basically you can load the software basically, how basically you can load the Microsoft Word, where basically Sunil R Nair's resume is, how you can load that. So for that basically he was basically shocked basically. So basically the India country says that we have the power supply data and we have that much power basically, you can say. Then basically one of the person told that, oh, that's very strange basically. Then basically one of the another person told that, for example, there is one country, they wants to do the missile attack to that another country. Just taken as an example, basically in real, basically, though no missile attacks had happened just now. Uh, he told that I want to do the attack in that missile in that country as a, and that also in 2 kilometer areas basically. Then basically the person was shocked basically. Why what he's telling? He can directly do the missile attack. Then why he required the permission, each and everything basically. Then the another person told that if you want to do anything basically in 2 kilometer area, then basically you have to set the environment with the help of set of power companies and set of nuclear companies and the set of energy companies. That basically few countries can only able to do. So for that, basically, if you want to do that, then basically you have to attract with that. You have to do the interaction with that countries, and you have to do that. For that, basically, many finance groups are there. Many basically you can say many groups are there basically, and basically you can in few countries says that we directly directly do the integration. We do the communication with the directly with the country basically. So basically here the totally the scene has been changed. Now basically the scene has basically like if you want to do the missile attack to the 2 kilometer area, then basically directly you can't do the attack basically. That means basically if any missile attack is going to be happened in any 2 kilometer area, then basically that is pre-planned basically, you can say. Nothing happens suddenly basically, that you can say. So like this basically that person was shocked basically, how basically. So basically the here basically what was the things basically that is ongoing here. Basically we are talking about that each and every country basically provides the services, and the services which they provide, they take the certain money. And here basically there are a set of middle companies, middle banks basically, who basically interact with the countries basically. That also you can say basically, because you can't nobody directly in, for example, if you want visa in Dubai basically, you can't get the visa directly basically, because rules of the Dubai says that you have to interact with the agents basically. Without agents basically you can't come directly to the Dubai basically. For example, I will take my example. I went to Dubai. I basically applied to many companies basically, but they told that you have to come through agent only. Then basically again I came back to India, and then basically without job basically I came to India. And like this basically somebody told me that without the agent also you can get the job basically, but that was correct basically. The another person told that without agent you can't get the job. So that was basically correct basically. When I went to Dubai, then basically I visited many companies, many software companies. uh, I submitted the resume basically, but basically nothing was there basically. Job was not got, and basically I just returned back to the India basically, and then basically yeah, that was a business basically, business visa basically you can say. But there was that time basically I have not got the job, and that time basically the rules of the Dubai says that you have to come through agent only. Without agent you can't go. So here what was the thing basically? Here the thing was Dubai is giving the job, but basically India, but you have to come through agent basically. So this is basically the another service. So like this, basically, India is telling that we are supplying the power supply to the each and every softwares. Basically, otherwise your software will not load. Then the another example was basically if you want to do the missile attack to the 2 kilometer area, basically then you have to take the permission. You have to give the money to the certain countries basically, and they will set the environment. So basically, missile does not is not going to blast suddenly basically it's pre-planned also you can say. So like this basically each and every countries like this India is servicing, giving the service. Like Pakistan might be also giving lots of services, like Iran also might be giving lots of services, like Dubai is also might be giving lots of services, like London is also might be giving lots of services, like United States of America, that is basically mostly everybody knows basically that they are into software services. So they give, so this all basically are in front of the world basically, whatever the things services basically the countries are giving. So what was the summary basically of this topic? The topic was basically each and every countries are giving the services. Instead of services basically they takes the money and they gives the money, whoever basically takes the services, and they gives the money basically. Like this basically Pakistan also gives the services. What services they gives, that basically the people who are taking the service they knows. Then India is also giving the services. Like this what services India is giving, the India knows, and the people who are taking the services they knows. And this everything is legally basically. Legally means if you are doing any things basically, you are giving any service, if any country is giving any services, that is basically legal and that is approved by the high courts and supreme courts. So like this basically you can say international courts are also there. They basically approve each and every country's services. Like this basically each and every services are getting approved by the each and every country's international laws basically, that this country is providing these services. If anybody wants the services, then you can take services from the country basically. Like this basically there are more than 200 countries who gives the services, set of services. If you want this service, then you have to go to that country only. You have to pay the certain amount and you will get the certain step of services. And instead of that basically you have to pay the amount. So few countries basically do the direct interaction with the countries, but mostly basically 99% basically middle people are there. Without that basically you can't do the interaction basically. If the country is new basically, then basically they don't know anything about the services that uh, the countries are providing the services. For example, one country told that we are giving the ideas basically. For example, they want to launch one school. The country is totally new and they want to start the education system. So basically, they told that we want to start the ideas of, we want the people whenever they read the English book, they do the calculation mathematics, they read the science subject, they read the history book. That time basically their brain should able to understand whatever they are reading. So for that basically you have to set the environment that basically set of countries basically only gives. So like this basically there are many services basically who are provided, which is provided by the set of countries basically. So this is the best example basically. If you want to set up one school basically, then how many subjects basically school contains. So that subject basically is basically when you read the subject basically, that time basically your brain should able to understand what is written in that books basically. For to understand that things basically you need to set the certain type of environment basically. If you are setting the environment, then only basically you are going to understand this book. So basically here we are stopping. This is basically 83 number, and 84 basically we are going to discuss a little bit more about the formula.